I don't believe in multitasking, but today I have limited time, and I think it might hold your attention span if I'm doing something while talking. I don't know. Basically, my 3D printer got absolutely cooked. Let me show you. I've already been working at it for a little bit, but I thought the thing exploded at first, but no, it didn't explode. There was just a filament leak of some sort, so the hot filament, and originally there's like a casing that goes around this. The hot filament went in between the casing and this metal bit right here. So now I have to do some archaeology and scrape everything away, yeah? Look at that. I guess that's what I get for using a free 3D printer though. Check this setup out. We got the paper towel roll, we got the paint scraper, click, bada bing, bada boom. All right. When I read Deep Work by Cal Newport, I'm sorry, I've mentioned that book like 3 times in the past week. It's a good book. While I'm still working on how productive of a person I am, that's a matter more of the discipline to actually stick to the principles that Deep Work established. But when I read Deep Work, it really changed my mindset towards what the best case scenario for my productivity would be. You know, it's funny. One of the things that Deep Work said to not do was to multitask. And right now I'm somewhat confirming what he said about multitasking because I cannot focus right now. This might be a stupid idea, but I'm gonna turn the heat on to try and... Hello? I don't think this red part heats up. I think it's only this part right here. So I should be okay. But what I'm trying to do is remove the nozzle and I can't scrape this stuff off. That's literal ash, by the way. That's char. If I heat it to 100 degrees, that might help everything get a little softer so I can remove it easier. Deep Work shifted my mindset when it came to productivity from just the quantity of work to quantity of work per hour. The red part is getting a little hot, but the nozzle's already at 100 degrees Celsius. So I'm trying to remove this. Hey, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Check that out. Just got a whole bunch of gunk off. And now I think I should be able to remove the nozzle. So now we have a nice 94 degrees Celsius filament nozzle right there. That's where the problem came. Yeah. I think I might not have tightened it all the way when I installed it. Who needs Subway Surfers when you got peeling charred filament off of a extruder? That's what it's called, right? I don't know. Oh yeah. There she goes. These days, what we think is productive is sitting down for like 6 hours of studying for school. But it's not. How much output were you actually getting per unit time? And in this case, let's say that output would be your grade on the end. You could be the guy who studied for 6 hours and then get an 100, or you could be the guy who studied for 1 hour and get like a 96. Now, if you want to be that guy who has 100s on everything, I still don't think you need 6 hours of studying. That was probably an exaggerated example on my part. But most of us, we don't really need that. This introduces a principle called the 80-20 principle. Basically, 80% of the output comes from 20% of the input. So in that 6 hours of studying, 20% of that studying that he did got him 80% of the output. Hey everybody, Future Roger here. It's been a little while since I've said that. Spoiler alert, the printer's going strong. And yeah, so multitasking does not work because I explained the 80-20 principle absolutely horribly. What Past Roger was trying to say was that the initial 20% of the studying he did had the highest ROI for his actual test grade outcome. And the other 80% of the studying he did was just optimization and trying to maximize up to that 100%. And you also have to consider that he might have been over-prepared as well. And if he's over-prepared, then that's wasted time. The thing to take away from the 80-20 principle is that there's a lot of fluff in the things that you do. And a lot of the time, we can completely cut away all that fluff, cut away the 80% that gets only 20% of the output. And then if we focus on that 20% most important things in our lives and really maximize that, then we're maximizing the 80% of the output. So there's a huge sort of leverage at play here. If you cut out the 80% fluff, then you have much more time to be doing that 20%. And if you do that 20% more, then you increase the impact of that resultant 80%. This is probably a little incoherent. If you want, you can research the 80-20 principle on your own, but I wanted to present that idea to you. That's been really influential to the way that I think. And when I do apply it correctly, it's been really important in saving my time and in living more essentialist. Something that I need to get more accustomed to is that perfect is the enemy of good. especially when good needs to be done fast. Look at that, it's coming together. I mean, falling apart, but in a good way. So in your life, start to think with that framework. I think I might have breathed in a lot of PLA dust, which cannot be good for you. In your life, try to go through everything thinking about this 80-20 principle. What's the top 20% most important things that you can do? And then try to maximize that instead of worrying too much about the rest of the 80%. And sometimes, of course, you will need to pay more attention to the 80%, especially if you want to really, really do something like perfect. But for most things, good enough is good enough. Usually for my test, I study for an hour at most, and I do okay. I feel like in Calc BC, that could have benefited from me focusing on that 80% a little more. But I ended up with an A in the end. This video is probably not going to be as organized as my other ones because I'm doing other things. Ooh, my lungs need a break. But I just wanted to get that idea out to you about the 80-20 principle. So I'm going to go back to cleaning this now. All right. Check it out. It's not perfect, but it's pretty clean. Look at it. It's glimmering. Yeah. Now for the test. There's a little bit of stuff that I still need to remove, but it's mostly good to go, I think. Suddenly I do. Oh, sure. I know. It's not that kind of show. Where is my brush? This might be a stupid idea, but here's an Allen key. Ow, I touched it. All right, I gotta act quick here. Before the heat carries down the nozzle and onto my fingers. The red part that I'm holding is starting to get kind of hot. I'm really trying to force this thing on right now, because nothing bad happens when you try to force things on, right? Right? That should work. I'm turning the temperature down, so hopefully I can install everything back on the printer and get it going. Fantastic. So the problem was not the nozzle, it's here. That makes things a little more difficult. Hey, yo, where'd my nozzle go? Oh, hey. It's clear. More or less. You see that? It can go all the way through, no problem. No way. Brother. Haha. Got it. All right, let's try that again. All right. Sometimes I really hate this printer. It's amazing that I can just design something on Fusion and then just bring it into reality, but it's very, very finicky and tedious. Now it's the moment of truth. This is the filament I'll be using for the next print. So hopefully everything works, fingers crossed. All right, inserting the filament. Bring you in closer this one. Let's go.